Good morning. So I had to delete the video I just did because it had no voice. And you gotta have a voice. I tried to use that little microphone and it was not a success. I'm gonna pitch that thing in the trash or something. I can't do, I have to do what I do, kiddos. And if you can't hear me, I have my hearing aids turned off. Sometimes it's better on your iPhone than it is on iPad or TV maybe, but I'm trying to talk loud enough for everybody to hear Grandma Lois. I was thinking about this verse this morning, and I might have said something that wasn't appropriate, or I get carried away sometimes. But this morning I want to say the verse of the day is this. And when Buddy passed away, number one husband, I put that right on my bookshelf. It's written on a script and like a little picture, and it says, "Casting all your care upon him, for he careth for you." And I feel like maybe God wanted that erased. Maybe he did not. He's the boss. That's right. And so I didn't worry about it because I got plenty to say any time of the day anyway. Today, so I went to upload that video that I made that ran a pretty long time. And Kentucky Living with Debbie made a comment the other day. Do people like long videos, short videos? What should you do? Or should they be long or short? And I told her, I answered, I said, do whatever you're comfortable with. And if it's too long, just tell them to pause it and look at the rest of it later. Because that's what I do with Chit Chat Granny Pat. Because if she goes a long time and I've got to go do something else, I just pause her and catch her later. Or I carry her around in my pocket on my phone and listen to her. I do that when I go walk sometimes. I did that the other morning when she was talking about some stuff that I didn't want to miss. So I just listened to her while I was doing my exercise. And that's the way you can also do talking to Jesus. You can pray while you're walking. You can meditate and think on the good things of the Lord. Hey, look. I found these glasses, and I just feel so confident in them. They're sunglasses, but you can see through them better, and they fit right over my glasses. Perfect. So James is out there working. And I remember this morning one thing I was wanting to tell you. I had told you that I was going to try to follow that house as he was fixing it up. Oh, honey. Oh, children. Gather around. Listen to Grandma back up. I can back up pretty good. That traffic is ferocious. I tell you what, I just don't like to go out there because the traffic don't quit. James said, we got a swing in our backyard at Slate Run Road where we live. And he said, see that swing? I'm going to put that on the front porch out of Sellersburg. I said, James, just for looks? Because you can't sit on that front porch. Traffic. You can't hear yourself think. So he's going to put it there and just let it look pretty. It's a decoration. I said, you're using it as a decoration because you sure can't sit there. But the backyard is wonderful. Don't you like my picture this morning? I just love it. I had a good one earlier. I was doing good earlier. I know what I was telling you now. I was telling you about go-getting women. Go-getting girls and women. And anyway, I'm not going to be running to Sellersburg all the time. I'm not going to be following that. When he gets it finished, maybe I can make it out there and show you what it looks like after he's done. He's still working like crazy. And I drank up all my coffee on that other video that I had to delete. And that's life, children. Things don't go the way we plan all the time. Let me see. I like these glasses. Here, let me try them. I got another pair here that James bought me. I believe I like these better. Yeah. Cute as a bug in a rug. And speaking of a bug in a rug, you know how I get distracted and how I change subjects all the time. Enough of Sellersburg. I'm not running out that road anymore. That it's dangerous. I mean, you can't even pull out on that road hardly. James says you can't find a brake. When you get ready to go home, you go back in the back, go down the alley, and come out where there's a red light. Okay, where was that? Bugging, you can't. I got it. I had been wanting a better uh, area rug for my breezeway out there, where I plan on doing some videos when the weather is nice. And so I had an old one there. It didn't look too good. And I wanted something just nice looking. And don't you know, I said, James, I think I'm going to order me one from Amazon, unless you have one stored somewhere. He says, I got one right next door. You can have that should be just the right size. He said, it's light gray in color and there's a little pattern to it. I said, it sounds perfect. And so he brought it. He had his man bring it over this morning, put it down, and it looks good. And so my breezeway room looks good. So thank you, James. He has he's got stuff stored everywhere. And if he can find it, he can use it. You can't always find it. But he knew where that one was. So he got it for me, and I was pleased. I am pleased. I plan on being out there and on his patio some. Let me tell you about those cats. Back to cats for you people that are cat people. I'm a dog person too. I had dogs for years, and when my last one passed away, he was 14 years old, and I decided then that I'd never get another one. He had a heart condition, and it was good he lived 14 years. So, and he died right in my living room floor, and it was so sad. But then I married James, and he had this big dog. It was a lab, beautiful dog. His name was Pal, and he wouldn't let him in the house, and he wanted in. And when a storm would come, Pal, James had a swing on his porch up there, and being it was over an acre of ground, you could sit out in the yard and swing, and it was comfy. But if it got a storm, his dog would go out there on the porch and just bang that swing, wanting in. It scared him. Well, that happened one night, and we got up the next morning, and he was gone. Well, we hunted everywhere. We went to the pound in case somebody, because he was very friendly. He would get in the car and go bye-bye with you. He liked to go bye-bye. So we looked everywhere. We put out signs. We went, and also up there, he weighed probably 100 pounds, 80 to 100 pounds, and that's country out there. And I said, James, we can't find him. I said, but I tell you what, he was old. Now he was pretty old. I don't know how old, but he was getting arthritis pretty bad and couldn't hardly get up and down the steps to the front porch. I said, you know, I was raised in the country, and if something big like that dies, you're going to see the buzzards circling and going in, and they'll clean up the dead animals and stuff. And we watched every day. There was no buzzards. So I know in my heart that somebody took Pal home and took care of him, and we never saw him again. Gone. So anyway, these kittens, these little sisters, they are a pistol. That's what we say about anything that just you can't figure out how. So that little one that loves me, one loves James, the other loves me. They're like twins. You can't hardly tell them apart except for their tail. One of them has a white tippy tail. The other one's got a tail with 3 colors. So all of a sudden, they love the breezeway at James's house, where I keep my refrigerator and my deep freeze. And every chance they get, that door opens, they run out there. They run out there fast. And that started happening a few months ago. But when we first got them, she insisted, one of them, to sleep with me, which drove me crazy, because every time I turned over, she wanted to get on the other side so she could be close here, which was so aggravating. But the Lord has answered when I didn't even ask. He knew it was aggravating me, you know, our Heavenly Father and Jesus. So he let them fall in love with the breezeway, both of them. And so one night they was out there, because I had went out to get something out of the freezer, and they went out there, and they didn't want to come back in the house. So I just shut the door. It was about bedtime, because I get stuff out of the freezer I'm going to cook the next day. And they didn't come out. So I said, okay, this is good with me. Y'all can stay out here. And there's blankets out there, you know, in the corner I threw a blanket, and on another place there's a comforter that I've got folded that's laying there. Never heard a sound out of them. Because before they would even meow and scratch and carry. I mean, they can scratch. So, this is cat day. Fur baby day. So, the next night I said, James, you reckon they want to go out there again? So, I just went out there and opened, well, I went into the kitchen where the breezeway runs out of the kitchen. I just opened the door, and here they come, both of them, and run right out in the breezeway. Turned around, looked at me, more or less told me bye. I just shut the door. Never heard a word out of him. God did a miracle. I can't hardly believe it. I am still stunned. Because that's been going on a couple of weeks now. Or I lose track of time. Don't we all? So anyway, it is strange. Now, baby doll, my little baby girl, the one that likes me, she just loves to go out there. And if I go, she's going to go. So last night, I didn't even go. I wasn't going out there. So she went to the breezeway door and looked up at the handle. And so I just opened the door, and she just went on out. Just looked at me and went on her way, hunting for her bed. So it was about 8 o'clock or so. So I went in the living room, and James's little cat was still sitting there, and I looked at her, and she looked at me, and I said, they're beginning to understand English, and that's the truth. I said, do you want to go to bed too? I said, well, come on then. And she just got up and started following me, and I just walked on to the breezeway door, and I had shut it because my little baby girl was out there. And I just opened the door, and she just went out there and joined her sister. And I opened the door and looked at them. They just sat there and looked at me. I just shut the door, and we went about watching some more TV, and it was so peaceful. So now they've been doing that, and it's just like God did a miracle to get them cats out of my bed. Because that other one, James's, it would come, and both of them would get right in the middle and sleep right together. And you could not pull the cover, you couldn't turn over. I was losing sleep. And the Lord didn't want that for his child. And you know, we're his children. And he loves us. And he looks out for us. We have guardian angels that look after us. And the way that little cat last night, when I said, well, do you want to go to bed too? Well, come on. And she just got up and come on and went with me. I just shook my head in wonder at what the Lord does. Okay. I was talking, well, commenting back and forth with Kentucky Living with Debbie. And she's got a teenager that is graduating, which she graduated already, and she's going to be going to college. And anyhow, we talked back and forth a little bit on comments, and she was asking the people whether they liked longer or shorter videos. Well, I don't really know, but I know that Chit Chat Granny Pat is a good long chatterer, and she's the one I sometimes, you know, pause her in the middle and catch her later, or carry her with me when I'm walking in my phone and just listen to her. She's got a very pleasant voice. And you know, Kentucky Life with Debbie has a pleasant voice too. She's the one I encouraged to go ahead and do a YouTube. She said, I have things I would like to talk about. Anyway, should it be long or short? So I told her on your video, I said, just do whatever you feel like, what you're comfortable with, because I never know how long mine's going to be. I used to keep them shorter on purpose, and then I tried to keep them longer on purpose, and none of that worked. So I said, well, I'm just going to be me. Whatever happens, happens. Relax. Enjoy. So that's what I've been doing the last few days and the last few weeks. And I never know how long it's going to run. And if you like it, I'm happy. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. We do have choice. Anyway, I have a lot of fun talking to y'all and gathering around for a little table talk. So if you haven't joined me yet, go get your coffee. I drank my coffee all up because I had to delete that one I went on this morning. But Debbie's raising this teenager, her girl, that, see, Debbie's 73 years old, and here she's got a young woman now that's going to be into college, and we talk about changes in your life. And when I did my video thing, and James says, "Are you going to do this every day?" I said, "I don't know what I'm going to do, but I decided to." And so he said, "Well, just call it the chapters of your life." So that's what I did. And I just named it Lois Baird-Rice 5161, which my name is Lois Baird-Rice. And so I wish now I have changed it to Table Talk with Grandma Lois, but that's a big aggravation. You know what? One thing I don't like aggravation. I just don't. I like it to stay peaceful all the time. And James is getting so he argues about so much stuff, negative. And I said, "Honey," because we was talking about something. He said, "Well, it could be bad." I said, "Yes, but it could be good, whatever we was talking about." I said, "There's two sides to everything. You need to look on the bright side." So I hope he's listening. So somebody says, "I can hear you perfect." It's just coming up. And I tried to do a live the other day. I was going to do it and then changed my mind. Women change their mind all the time. You know how that goes? So anyway, they couldn't hear that one that I deleted because I deleted it. And I like this yellow. And this woman that gave me this flower right here, I was at a yard sale and I had another flower in my hair. And this was on her table. And I was looking at it and she grabbed it up. She said, "You need this. Here, take it. See how the Lord goes before me and makes those crooked places straight?" So I just put it in my hair. And I said, "I'm going to wear that today with my yellow scarf." I have scarves of these sheer scarves, all different colors. I ordered them from Amazon. Amazon is my shopping place. I had to take some stuff back yesterday, and I was talking to a lady. You know, you talk to people in the parking lot, and I don't know what that is. I think I turned it off. My phone. I try to get that thing out of my way. Don't always work. But I was talking to this lady, and I told her, "How are you today?" And I said, "Well, I'm doing real good to be 91. She said, "I'm going to tell you something. You know, my mother's 98 years old." I said, "Really? And how is she?" She said, "Well, like this." Said she fell at Christmas, and she's went kind of downhill ever since. Seniors really have to be careful about falling. And when you go get your exam once a year, which I go once a year and James does, the first thing they ask you, "Have you fallen recently? Have you fallen?" Because it puts a lot of people out of commission when they're senior citizens. I really try to be careful. Because the last time I fell, which has been over a year now, a cat tripped me. And it was my cat. And I fell over on my side like a log. I mean, bam, you're on the floor. And I just fell. And it was so fast. You know, these things happen so fast. And James was outside, and I laid there stunned in the kitchen at James's house. And I thought, you know, I guess I've killed myself. I don't know. I can't hardly move. So I just laid there, and you know how you say, "Lord Jesus, help me, Lord." I mean, desperation. And then I saw I could turn over, and I wasn't hurting anywhere. I was just stunned. So I said, "Well, maybe I'll get up." I could not get up. I said, "Well, I need a chair or something." And then I could get up. I could not lift my 155 pounds, which I was at that time, up. Old people, once they fall, a lot of the times cannot get up. I remember one time my mother-in-law called me and my first husband. Her husband was bedridden quite a bit, and before he went in the nursing home, he had emphysema. He worked in the coal mines, and he had bad lungs from the coal mine. So he fell out of the bed, and she couldn't get him back in the bed, and he didn't have strength to get back in the bed, and they lived 12 miles away. So we got in the car, and we went out there, and we had to help her. It took two of us to get him back in the bed. So there I lay in that kitchen floor, and I have told about it before, but y'all haven't watched that video. This is all news to some of y'all. There I lay, couldn't get up. So I said, "I know what I'll do." James was outside, and I was hollering, "Help, help." He couldn't hear me. That house is soundproofed. He insulates everything, and it's a warm and cool house. according to the weather. You know, he does that kind of stuff. So it wasn't doing any good to holler, and I did not have this. They insisted that I get this after I fell, and I've had one ever since. And I haven't fallen ever since, and I'm very careful. I have to watch where I walk because I am tottery at times. Thank God I still can walk and drive my car and do things that I enjoy doing. So I was hollering and laying there, and I said, well, I got to get up. There's no chair here in the kitchen. The dining room is in the other room. I said, I know what I'll do. So I crawled over to the stove, and I pulled the stove lid down. Now, I thought, I can get that, and I can get up, and I don't care. I'm going to get up. And about that time, James came in the door, and here I'm holding on to the oven door, and he says, what are you doing? He didn't know what I was doing. I said, well, I'm trying to get up. I fell a while ago, and I can't get up. He said, well, you're going to break that door because, you know, that would break that off if you try to get up on. I said, well, I was going to try anyway, but you're here now. He said, I'll get you up. So he grabbed me underneath my arms. You can't lift somebody like that. That don't work. You have to get them a chair. I researched this later. I wanted Debbie to know that. She says Grandma Lois researches everything. I research a lot of stuff. Lately, I have been researching how to kill poison ivy. I'll tell you about that later. So anyhow, James says, okay, I'm going to get you up. I said, honey, the only way he's a big man. He's 6'3" and I'm 5'2". He got me under my arms, and he's strong enough to lift 155 pounds. So, and me holding on to him, I was able to get on my feet. So I was on my feet. I didn't have pain anywhere. I said, did I put one foot in front of the other? I said, you know what? I'm fine. I was fine. Thank you, Jesus. I could walk. And I didn't have no trouble the next day. My shoulder was a little sore. I didn't have a bruise. The Lord protected me again. So James has got he owns a storage shed place over the other, about 5 blocks from here. And there is a ditch there, and there's poison ivy growing all through that. It's kind of like a little hill. And the city says that he needs to weed eat all that. Poison ivy to so many people is dangerous because it's so toxic. And so we researched on YouTube and the internet how to kill poison ivy. And some says salt, vinegar, and water, and spray it on it. But it don't kill it real fast. And then it says herbicides that you can get. Well, so James mixed him up some vinegar, or you use Dawn soap or some kind of soap to kill weeds and poison ivy. He mixed him up some Dawn soap, some salt, and some vinegar and water. And so he sprayed it on the weeds that are growing up in between the cracks on our concrete of our other part of our driveway that wasn't redone. And over where he has some weeds growing. And you know, the ones on the cracks, they died, but the ones over the other place didn't die. I said, you're going to have to hit them again with your mixture. He's got like a watering can, and he just kind of poured it all over it. So what's he going to do? So he decided after doing much research that he's going to have to use a herbicide, you know, poison stuff to spray on it that will really kill, because those other things really don't kill, because it just don't. Because unless you want to pull it up with your hand, put it in a sack, in a plastic sack, and then you got to wash your hands and your arms, and that stuff is so catching. So he mixes it 1 tablespoonful to let's see, 1 ounce to a gallon of water, and then he's got a sprayer, and he's going to spray that because the city came down on him and says he's got to get rid of all those weeds and that poison ivy there. So I think that's what he's going to be doing soon. I don't know, what if he can't? What if that stuff, I'm not going to look on the negative side. I'm going to let him take care of it. I'm going to be anxious for nothing. Just pray about it and trust the Lord. And that's what I did when I saw. So, Wi-Fi. This morning I spent quite a bit of time on Wi-Fi with my phone, and it's working. But when I went to download that one, I had to delete. Well, it was uploading, but yesterday I called and got my bill reduced by $10, which I was back to the normal price. They do these promotions. But this morning when I tried to upload, it said waiting 1 hour. And usually it does it like in 10 minutes, it will upload. So I called him this morning, and I got a hold to somebody named Mike. And Mike says, we're going to fix this. I told him, I said, right now it's just not doing anything. It's doing like nothing. It says waiting. He says, we'll find out what it is. So he did a lot of stuff on his end. Then he said, go into where your router and your modem is and unplug both of them. I said, okay, I'll do that. Because I remember years ago I had to do that with my other modem, but I didn't. You don't remember everything. He said, let's try that. He said, you've tried everything else, try that. So I went in there and I unplugged them, and he wouldn't let me plug them back in. He said, just hang on. So we waited a minute or 2 minutes. He said, now plug them back in and let's see what happens. Well, it took a long time for the Wi-Fi to rehooked back up and get to going. And it got to going, and that just downloaded Whippity Stitch. Just like that. Next thing you knew, it was. So I had that one that I did earlier. It was on YouTube, and I put it on, and then we discovered from the first person that watched that there was no sound. So I won't be using microphones unless I can get one better. I wonder if they have one better. Does anybody know? Is there a YouTuber out there that knows more about that would be simple for a grandma? If so, let me know in the comments and I'll get it and try it. But I'm going to not make a YouTube whole thing. I'll experiment with it first. I thought I had her licked. Did not have her licked. Anyhow, I am a go-getting woman. And I did tell about being a go-getting. You know, some people are go-getting people, others are not. I'm a go-getter. I have always been like that. I mean, get her done. So anyhow, when I was walking at the mall and I met Floyd, number 2, he was a nice man. And I would invite him for lunch, and we got acquainted, and then we ended up getting married, and he was good company a lot of the time. But when he told it was his daughter's mother-in-law, and he found out that I was a groomer at that time, that I groomed her poodle. And we knew each other. I knew his mother-in-law to his daughter. And I had known her a long time. She had a cute little white poodle, and I've been doing it a long time. And when she found out that Floyd, number 2, was dating me, because he had been his wife had died 4 years previous, and Buddy had been gone a long time. Not too long, not as long as his wife, but I was alone and very lonely, and I have discovered I like married life better than single life. So she said to Floyd, you better grab her. She's a go-getter. And yes, I am a go-getter. And James gets aggravated at me because I'll say, honey, you know that king-size bed, I can't hardly get it made by myself. You need to be on that side and me on this side when we change the sheets and stuff. He says, you want that done right now? I said, well, in the next 15 minutes anyway. That's the way I used to. But now I say, let's do it this week sometime, okay? I try to do it ahead of time now. He is not a go-getter when it comes to changing the bed sheets or anything I want done. I call that prognosticating. He's a prognosticator. I said, you know, James, it's funny to me. If you know what he did this morning? So his one main man pulled up in the driveway behind him. So I said, do you want a sausage egg sandwich or you want oatmeal with fruit in it and stuff? He said oatmeal. Oh, give me the syrup. Because I put raisins and nuts and an apple and banana and chop it up, and it turns out real good. So he said, that's what I want. So I came in the house and I made it, and he didn't come in, and he didn't come in. and he didn't come in. So finally, when he did come in, I said, now it's kind of cold. I said, you want to warm it up? You can do it in the microwave, 30 seconds. He said, no, it's okay. So he said, this is enough for 2 people, as he was looking at, because he was in a hurry. And he knew it was going to take him at least a few minutes to eat. It was just a bowl of oatmeal with fruit and stuff in it. So I said, take time. He said, you know what? Could I take this with me? Have you got a spoon? Could I put this in something, take it with me? And you know how at McDonald's that you could buy oatmeal and it's in a cup like? He said, could I? So, you know, I saved them McDonald's coffee cups. I said, you sure can. So he got him a cup where I keep them in the window. He got him one, and he was raking his oatmeal and stuff in that cup, and I was handing him a bigger spoon. He said, I can handle this. And he did. And he put it in his cup. I handed him a teaspoon. He said, you got a plastic one? I said, no, you can just leave that in the truck. I'll get it later. It's not the end of the world. Take it with you. He was out the door and gone. Now, that's why he was. He's a go-getter when it comes. I told him, I said, you are a go-getter when it comes to your stuff. That don't happen when I need you to do something. So I got my hearing aids. If I got them turned off. I hope y'all can hear. Well, this has been an interesting day, and I got some stuff that I picked up in the car that he don't know exactly what it is, because he'll buy the knick-knacks, doodads, and thingamajigs, and I got a sack of them, and I'm headed to the Goodwill, and I've got a stack of stuff I'm taking to the Goodwill, and I've been putting that off, but I'm getting her done. So y'all have a good day, and we're trying to get this one uploaded, and walk that walk where Jesus would be pleased with you. Love you. Bye-bye.